Hi everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today, get ready to make some super spooky, fun Halloween cards with die cuts featuring the Pretty Pink Posh August 2024 release. I always love what Pretty Pink Posh brings out every year for Halloween and fall. This month it's all about Halloween, and I have 3 fun cards to share with you. We are going to start by building our backgrounds, and it is going to take a little bit of work. I started with a white cardstock base, and we are going to blend 3 beautiful colors of Distress Oxide ink together before finishing with a little black soot to give it that moody, fun feel, and then use the new Pretty Pink Posh stencils over the top with black opaque grit paste from Tim Holtz. I have salvaged patina, Villainous potion, of course, and then we are going to pull in a dark blue color as well. Now, something I want to mention is that with the Distress Oxides, it often looks worse, well, really any inks, before it looks better. Our blue is Uncharted Mariner, and that salvage patina really provides nice light area. A lot of it is going to get covered up. A lot of it is going to just kind of peek through the moody background of the design. I don't worry too much about the blotchiness. I just keep working those inks together, moving back and forth between my blending brushes until I get the seamless, beautiful blend for these spooky, fun cards. Now, of course, Pretty Pink Posh, I say spooky, but it's spooky cute. I talk about this a lot where we can have, spooky scary, spooky cute. These are totally spooky cute. Nothing scary about these. You can feel good about giving these to anyone. I know I kind of like spooky decor, somewhat scary decor, but I will tell you guys I am not a scary movie person at all. In fact, my whole family makes fun of me. They still invite me, which is super nice when they go to the movies, but they know I always will say no because I don't like to be scared. But I'm a spooky cute probably kind of girl. I love, all of the cute little Halloween and scary, spooky, scary, cute type things that are out there. So you can see once I have that beautiful blend, I'm going to go around the edges and really the whole panel with black soot. You still see the peak of Salvage Patina and Villainous Potion and Uncharted Mariner. It doesn't go away, but it just gives it that moody feel. And to be honest, creating Halloween and fall backgrounds is one of my favorite things to do. I don't know what it is, but I just love the colors. Let's go ahead and use our Distress Spritzes. Obviously, we've got some Peacock feathers, and I think it's Wilted Violet. The exact color is down below. To give some shimmer fun to these beautiful backgrounds before we add our opaque grit paste over the top. Now, I also want to mention that those backgrounds would be beautiful for galaxies as well if you have some of the Galaxy products from a couple of releases ago from Pretty Pink Posh. So next we are going to take our stamp wheel. We are going to take our beautiful Distress Oxide inked and Distress Spritzed backgrounds, and using 2 of the new stencils from the Pretty Pink Posh August 2024 release, we are going to apply black grit paste over the top. This is called the Halloween Words Stencil. I like to apply a generous amount with a palette knife, and then using a stencil pal, I'm going to go over the entire thing, making sure I have full coverage. What I love about this black opaque grit paste is obviously it's black, so it's going to give you this gorgeous contrast, but it looks amazing. It's going to dry quickly. Even though it provides awesome texture, it's not going to be super bulky. Look how amazing this looks. And the other thing I really, really love is that this is the latest in these words stencils from Pretty Pink Posh that really all have their fun, font to them and just really go with everything in the collection. Whether you are using products from this year or not, it's just a fantastic addition. We're also going to do the same technique with the scattered bats stencil. Now, I talk about this quite a lot when I make Halloween cards. I like adding bats to almost every Halloween card I make, and this is an amazing stencil. I could see using this a lot. So once these are completely dry, we're going to work on building some fun die cut cards, because all of my cards today are very much die cut heavy, creating die cut scene cards. So now that we have our backgrounds, this is the big Halloween cupcake. Again, the latest in the addition or the add-on additions to the amazing cupcake collection from Pretty Pink Posh. I love that there are fun add-ons for each, and they're some of my most favorite dies from Pretty Pink Posh. I've die cut all of the components from the big Halloween cupcake dies, from glitter paper, smooth white cardstock, Lawn Fawn textured cardstock, and I've even applied a little bit of ink to shade some of the elements for my card. We're going to start by gluing down the goopy, drippy frosting over the top of the sugared frosting for our cupcake. So I made my sugared frosting from black glitter cardstock, and I made the rest of my frosting from this beautiful purple textured cardstock. Now I realized I need to tuck some elements into some of these cuts in the layering piece. So I pulled it off. Luckily, it was very easy to pull it off of the glitter cardstock. Because of the texture, it does take a little bit more work to dry, or not work to dry, maybe just takes a little bit more pressure when you're gluing. So I lucked out there, and I was able to tuck in our cute little spider web and a little gummy worm. I also have the cake piece. I love that this comes with the cake piece. It means you don't really need to have the original set or anything if you want to pick this up. I say add-on because you can obviously mix and match, but it's super standalone as well, and I really appreciate that. I am going to add a little bit of shading to my gummy worms. I realized after I started adhering them that I felt like they were a little flat, especially because I've added some shading to other elements. So you'll notice I kind of partway through add a little bit more. And I want my gummy worms to kind of just be sticking here and there throughout my cupcake. That is looking cute. My cupcake colors all were influenced by my background. I'm trying to stick very much with a spooky Halloween. I am kind of pulling in those purples and greens as well as traditional oranges. I went a little non-traditional, I suppose, with my color picks for this, but I always like kind of playing around with color. Then this set also has some darling little ghosties and other fun little pieces, so little pumpkins. So maybe imagine them as those candied pumpkins, you know, candy corn pumpkins, all of that good stuff. Against the background, I do want to pop my cupcake up. This is the focal point of the card design, and I feel like with a rather busy background, it helps make the focal point stand out. So I have foam adhesive squares that I've placed all over the back of my cupcake, and we're gonna pop that right there in the center before we attach the rest of our components. So now we are going to take our pumpkins and we are going to attach the stems. And I'm going to tuck those down here along the left side of our cupcake. And there's also some little bones, like imagine the little bone candy. I'm going to tuck those right next to this, layering all of the elements just for added interest. Now, I find with these cards, the cupcake wrapper is a fantastic place to add your sentiment. This is a busy card. There's a lot going on, but I think you can kind of help tie it all together by using that cupcake wrapper as the place to attach your sentiment. So you can see that I've got that little scripty boo there, and I'm going to hold off for just a minute attaching that until I determine where all I want that to go. And then when I'm happy with the placement of my little ghost, I'm going to attach the boo, but I really want to add another little phrase here. And I will take a stamp set and add that here in just a minute. I really love the Halloween Corners stamp set sentiments. And so once we have some little black eyes on our ghost, I am using some black pearls. I know that this doesn't show it's Pretty Pink Posh in the video, but this is just a container I had left over. These are the Pretty Pink Posh black or onyx, pardon me, pearls. And so that is what I use. I buy quite a lot of these because they are my most often used pearls in my stash. I use them for eyes on everything, and I think they are wonderful. We're also going to use another new product. This is the Spooky Sky Clay Confetti. I love the confetti. If you've been with Pretty Pink Posh from the beginning, you know that they started out, or Paulina started out as an embellishment company that's moved into stamps, dies, stencils, all of the wonderful things, and they all go together just so beautifully and so wonderfully. I am using the confetti to decorate my cupcake, as well as adding a few of those additional stars to the sky, using my glue press and an embellishment wand to pick those little pieces up and place them right where I want them to go. I love how this looks. I love the little black eyes on our ghosty. And now we're ready to add the last piece of our card, which is the Halloween Corners sentiment. For our sentiment here, I'm using no tricks, just treats. I've stamped that on black cardstock with clear embossing ink, heat embossed with white embossing powder, and then die cut with the sentiment label die and tucked right there on my card. Let's move on to our next card design. For this one, it is going to feature the ghost holder dies and stitched ghost dies. I decided to make my ghost holder the focal point of my card, holding a pumpkin, and then we're going to have vellum ghosts all around on this one. So just like before, I'm taking some of the terracotta Simon Says stamp positively saturated ink, inking up the edges of my pumpkin, even blending in a little mocha for a little bit more of that moody feel. And we're going to have our adorable ghost holding this pumpkin. I'm going to make sure and keep my work surface clean. I really don't want to get ink on any of the white areas on my card. Now, it does happen on my third card. I do have to take a sand eraser and remove some of my inky finger marks from my ghosts, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So once I'm happy with my ghost, I have some eyes. Again, I'm going to use the onyx pearls, but I did die cut the mouth. So that does die cut the mouth and the eyes at the same time, which does give you the option of using the black cardstock for the eyes, which is phenomenal if you don't have any of those black pearls or maybe not enough. Now I wanted to glue the boo down, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to hold off on that for just a minute. This boo is from the ghost holder die, but I thought I'd glue it to the bottom of the ghost, and then I kind of had I changed my mind, and then I do end up gluing it there. So sometimes that happens. It's totally fine. I've added the onyx pearl eyes, and now I'm adding the mouth. And then the vellum ghosts are going to be rather tricky to attach. If I had like a Xyron, I probably do somewhere, I didn't look for it. I am going to actually hide my adhesive back behind where, and I say hide loosely because you still see a little bit of it, although it doesn't bother me. If that does bother you, I would highly recommend maybe using a Xyron sticker maker to attach your ghosts or anything with vellum. Often I'm able to hide it. This was not a case where it was as easy to hide. So, you know, I just made the best of it. And again, I don't think that it's too badly noticeable, I guess, but definitely use your own judgment. Just like the previous card, I'm going to pop my ghost holder up with a little bit of foam adhesive. And then we're going to tuck our vellum ghosts all around. And again, just trying to be really mindful of where I use my glue so that it's not too terrible noticeable there. In fact, I think I probably could have even left off the cardstock eyes. The stitched ghosts do come with dies for different faces. That includes mouths. I did not use the mouths for the background ghosts, but I do think that would be cute. But I think you could even just maybe use your glue adhesive as the eyes instead. I mean, if I hadn't smashed it out. Honestly, I did smash it out in a couple places where it looks terrible. So I want to add those eyes on top. You could use the onyx pearls if you wanted to. I felt like I wanted the vellum ghost to be more of a background element, so I opted to die cut the eyes instead. I've got 5 ghosts all the way around. Each one of them hangs off the edge of this 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel. Once my glue is dry, I will flip the panel over and trim away any of that excess vellum. So we'll just take our scissors and snip all of that away. I love how it just becomes more of a background element then instead of the focal point ghost. Then we're going to take our black cardstock eyes that I die cut and we're going to glue those in place right over. I also have some bats. I had a couple left over from our, I think it maybe is from this set. It is. It is from the ghost holder dies, but I had used them previously and I decided to go ahead and cut a few more and add those to the background. Now this is the bat's background that we stenciled, and so we're just adding to that with some glittery bats. This is some black glitter cardstock from Lawn Fawn that I used for my bats here. Oh, so cute. Okay, so here I am adding the different eyes all over. You can see one of those face dies right there. It was on my screen, but just some different eyes for each. So some of them kind of look like closed eyes. Some are the little circle eyes. You could even add the mouths if you wanted to. They're very teeny tiny. So I'm just trying to add all of those, and it will dry clear. You can really see down in the bottom right corner, those have dried. I love it. I think it's just so sweet. Now, just like the first card, I do want to add a sentiment strip. As much as I love a little die cut greeting, I really do like a little sentiment strip paired with that, especially for something so tiny like the boo. But if you like a little bit more of a simplified sentiment, you could just leave it at that. We're going to use the sentiment Sending Spooky Smiles. I believe that one is from the Batty About You stamp set, also from the release. All of the products today are from the August 2024 release, so you can really see how you can make lots of different cards just with this release, but you can also mix and match with your previous Pretty Pink Posh products very, very easily. And so hopefully this provides inspiration, even if you don't pick up new things or very many new things from the release, just to go back and use all of those amazing products that have been released in the past. So we're just embossing this. Again, I'm using my little scrap of black cardstock. You can see that's the same scrap I had die cut all of my little faces out of. Then we'll die cut it and we'll pop that up right underneath our cute little ghosty and glue this panel down to a white top fold. I do like to buff away any of the remaining powder before die cutting. This is a Simon Says Stamp Sentiment label die that I'm using. I do have those out at all times, so generally those are handy, but you can use whatever you have on hand or even a paper trimmer if that is what you have. Now, just like the previous card as well, I do want to add some of those clay pieces or those clay stars to this design. I'm going to use a combination of the white and the black clay for this one and scatter them in the bat sky. Oh, so cute. I want to try to get that centered. I wasn't super happy with that, so let me try again. Trying as much as I can to get that as centered and straight as possible. And then again, here are all those little clay pieces. Now, the one thing that I forgot to do was add some little pink cheeks to my spooky cute ghost. What I like to do to give anything like this little rounded pink cheeks is the little round blending brushes from Simon Says Stamp, or any little round blending brush that you use. You can take that, and I don't even re-ink it. Whatever ink was on it previously, because I want it to be very light, and I use a little circular motion to give my ghost some pink cheeks. So sweet. Okay, let's create our third and final card. This is going to be our shaker mug. Now, this again is another set that is an add-on to the original mug dies. You will need the original mug. This was released a few years ago, and Pretty Pink Posh continues to bring out amazing add-ons for this set. This is the Spooky Mug Editions dies, and we are going to create a cauldron shaker card. So there's a cauldron in the set this time that you can use on its own, which it's a great size if you just like a good cauldron die, or you can use it to die cut out the center of your mug if you're not doing more of a layering style of mug scene. And I am going to die cut it so that the shape of the shaker is the cauldron. Then we've got some kind of green splashy liquid coming up out of this. I've also inked up the coffee or hot cocoa inside. Let's say it's hot cocoa and pretend the ghosts we're adding are like ghosty marshmallows. We also have some candy lollipops I am inking up and adding to the little sticks. Almost everything from this set, except for the bats, are from the Spooky Mug Editions. The spiders in this set are adorable, and I know I've talked about this in other videos. I do not like spiders, but I love adding spiders to my Halloween cards. And these are cute. These are like the little cute spiders, not creepy spiders. There's also some little pumpkins, again, pretending those are the little sugary pumpkins. There's some little bubbles that we can add, but the bats I did pull from the ghost holder die. I could see myself using these all the time. They're a fantastic size. Love, love, love these. So what I want to do is tuck my ghosts and my candy, let's say candy stir sticks, into the hot cocoa. And once we have that kind of arranged, then I will go ahead and die cut an acetate mug from some thin acetate. And I would recommend a thinner acetate. Hero Arts has a good one. The regular acetate from Simon Says Stamp or Lawn Fawn, all of those I have found die cut really nicely. You don't want to use something thicker if your die cut machine doesn't love it. And my die cut machine does not love die cutting the thicker, like heat resistant acetate or anything like that. So I do try to use one of those other acetates when I need to die cut for a shaker shape. Now, remember earlier I talked about how I got my inky fingers all over my ghosts? That's me with my eraser removing that so I don't have to re-die cut. And it did work out, which I was happy. These cute ghosts can also hold the pumpkins, so I think that's kind of fun. Can be used on their own or with the mug as shown here. And that window for our cauldron is going to be the perfect spot for our sentiment. I do want to mention right off of the bat that I should have stamped my sentiment right away. I actually didn't have any trouble stamping it after my shaker was assembled, but I do recommend stamping it first and then assembling your shaker because sometimes you don't get the best result. So at this point right here where I glued the acetate to the back of the shaker window, that is when I should have stamped my greeting. But again, you know, make the best of it. I figured worst case scenario, and hopefully this is a good tip for any of you who are not as familiar with StazOn ink, which is a solvent ink, that you can use on things like acetate or vellum where a traditional dye or pigment ink doesn't dry. You can wipe it away off of acetate with a little stamp cleaner, like a little StazOn stamp cleaner on a Q-tip or something. So I figured worst case scenario, I could wipe it away if I needed to. There are coordinating dies for the scripty style sentiments from the Halloween Corner stamp set. So if you need to, you can use that to die cut your greeting and layer it on top, but I really wanted to get the most out of what is in the cauldron. I'm layering some foam adhesive on the back of my shaker. You can see that I filled the shaker well with some fun new beads from the Pretty Pink Posh August release. They're all in purples, greens, and black. I love these, and I filled my shaker pretty full, and then I have another mug die cut that I am layering right on the back, plus some foam adhesive on the things sticking out of the mug so that it all lays nice and flush. We're going to grab our other bat background and we're going to glue and attach this right to the center of our card, much like we did for the cupcake on the first one. And I'm going to tilt it a little bit at an angle. Look how adorable. Now comes the fun embellishment part. So our shaker is quite full, and I do think that when we stamp our greeting here in a little bit will serve us well because it does give a lot more stability to our shaker. But we're going to add one of these spiders down here near the base, which I think is cute. We've got more little pumpkins. I am going to add just a bit of shading. You can see I added shading to the candy or the candy stir sticks as well. I feel like a little bit of shading here really adds to the design and matches, I suppose, for lack of a better word, the background with all of that ink blending. I'm trying not to go too over the top, but just a little bit gives a lot to the design. We got some little green slimy bubbles that we're going to have coming up. Kind of imagine it's coming up out of our coffee cup cauldron shaker. We're going to tuck the pumpkins down here along the left side, like so. We are going to incorporate some more of the black glittery bats and our little bubbles coming up. I really can't get enough of the bats. We're going to use some black or the onyx pearls for the eyes on the ghosts. We're going to use some adorable googly eyes for our spider, just to give lots of fun character and cuteness to all of this. More clay confetti is being scattered around the sky. I did try to go heavier with the white because I think they show up better. Maybe adding a few black stars. I don't know if I did on this one or not. It doesn't really look like it. And here are those black pearls for the eyes. Looking for the little ones because, as always, those are my most often used little pearls. And I love these triangle trays from Simon Says Stamp to funnel the product back into the storage containers. Now we're using a little bit of the sparkle lacquer from Hero Arts or any sparkly kind of product is going to work. I'm covering the bubbles with sparkle. And then I did leave this in because I wanted you to see this. It's going to take a little bit to dry. I did allow this to sit and dry overnight. But I thought on the lollipops, I thought, well, wouldn't it be cute to follow the stitching lines with my product? And I did, and I didn't like it. And the reason I left this in the video is I think it's important to share when things maybe don't work and how I fixed it, in case it might help you in the event that you're doing something similar. So it's a pretty thin line of glue. And it may have dried okay, but I just didn't like it. And I realized it before it had dried. And so I'm going to take the pad of my ring finger I guess my middle finger, and I'm just going to smooth it all the way out to the edge. So it's going to dry in this really thin, sparkly coat, and it turned out amazing. I really, really liked that. Let's add a couple of these bats. I do see I need to still go grab the Google eyes for our spider. And then we are going to get the Cotton White Stays On ink, and we are going to be adding that to our shaker window. I added beads of glue to the areas on the eyes, and then we're adding the smallest size Google eyes from Pretty Pink Posh. Oh, it's adorable. But obviously I realized at this point, wow, I really should have added my sentiment before I added the sparkle lacquer, before I did all of this. I really don't know what I was thinking. So my suggestion would be to wait till everything is completely dry. I really didn't have that luxury, so I am going to be very careful, but definitely wait for your liquid products if you've used glossy accents or, Nuvo crystal drops or the crystal lacquer. Wait for that to dry. I was able to do it and not mess up anything, but normally I try not to do this. So I've got my Cotton White Stays On. I've placed my card in my Misty, and I am very carefully stamping. I do feel like it needs stamped twice. And look at that. I love this so much. I love stamping on little shaker windows. We're going to glue this to a white top fold card base, and our cards are all finished. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this set of 3 Halloween spooky cute cards featuring Pretty Pink Posh August 2024 release products for die cut scene cards. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new video. Thanks for watching!